Is that manslaughter?
She was a nurse. She's now a convicted felon.
I asked my friend about this, who's like head nurse at a hospital back in Virginia, and she said this case makes her afraid to keep going with her career. But let's see what Court TV says.
I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. And I want to begin tonight with a conversation we've had in the past.
Somebody said in chat, and they added me, so it lit up. I just found out that my girlfriend of 7 months cheated on me. Break up with her! It's done. Goodbye. Let's end this. Break up with her.
When is behavior? You do something, you don't intend to do it.
Okay. Accident.
You don't intend the result,
crime.
but you mess up. You totally mess up. It's all your fault. And you've taken the life of someone else. But you had no intention to do it.
Man.
None whatsoever. Maybe you're even doing your job while it happened.
I'm
With
so
things
into
like
this
all
right
the
now.
time.
Because you know what? It's kind of taking me back to the Alec Baldwin case. He's talking about when is an accident a crime, but Jesus Christ, the Alec Baldwin case, this is all, oh man.
You do something, it causes damage to me, could be wrongful death. I sue you, or my estate sues you, or my family sues you.
I think she was convicted
And
of homicide,
it
guys,
can
not
be litigated,
manslaughter.
It could be denied, but if there's liability, if you're responsible for the death, then some insurance company somewhere will pay money to the victims or the victim's family. Then there's the criminal system, which is much different. It's about taking away someone's liberty, that you have crossed the lines of social norms, and you should not be a free human being.
Wow, that's
Big
interesting.
difference.
Interesting.
Big difference.
Okay.
Let's talk about some of the cases that we've had here, and I think the results sometimes might be connected to the line of work that the people are
Also,
in.
can I just say, I know you guys like listening to me because when we're going through some of the cases, I know stuff about like psychology or how people might react or like, you know, just different instances of the crimes, forensics, all that stuff. But Vinny Politan is an expert in the justice system. He was an attorney, he was a prosecutor, and now he's been a court TV anchor for many, many years. He has seen everything. So listening to his knowledge is just so fascinating to me. Please excuse me if I just listen half the time here, okay? It's not because I'm in love with Vinny. It's not. It's not.
How many times have you seen a doctor on trial
Oh, there's no
for
subtitles for court TV,
murder,
guys. I'm sorry.
manslaughter, whatever it is, for an accident? I'm not talking about like Dr. Yuso's accused of murder, right? Not doctors who are stone cold drunk in the operating room. No, doctors who are doing their job, but doing it extremely poorly. I'm trying to think of cases where they've been charged with homicide. There are tons of malpractice cases. That's on the civil side. Doctors get sued all the time.
But doctors don't get charged with homicide.
When they commit malpractice.
Right.
These are tough decisions for prosecutors. But I'm trying to think, I may be totally wrong here. But from my own memory, from cases as a prosecutor myself, from covering the nation's biggest high-profile cases, and if you got a doctor on trial, it's going to be high profile. I'm having a hard time thinking of a doctor accidentally killing someone during the course of whatever he's doing, and then being handcuffed and charged with homicide.
You know what? I'm not too sure about this. When you go to a doctor's office and you sign all those papers, you're basically saying that you're not going to try to sue the doctor. You know all the risks, maybe somebody can correct me on this, but I feel like the doctor is incredibly protected. But are the nurses of the practice, do they also fall under that umbrella? Are they also protected by the hospitals? I mean, clearly not if this woman was charged with homicide, but let's see what else he says.
Now, let's get to the case that was on Court TV today. Nurse RaDonda Vaught. She's a nurse. Ooh. She absolutely is responsible for the death of a 75-year-old woman.
Okay.
Gave her the wrong medicine. She killed her.
Here's the story, guys.
She absolutely killed her. There was no accusation that she did it on purpose, just that she was had really bad day at work. Like, didn't follow the protocols that you're supposed to follow. Totally messed up, 1,000% her fault. But in this case, prosecutor said it was so bad, so outrageous, you should be charged with a crime. And this is such an important case because what we're talking about here is,
it's also my understanding, and I'm sure he'll give us more details here, that the nurse was very upset about what happened And I believe she's the one that came clean to the hospital and told them exactly what she did and admitted how it happened. And she was very, very upset. And people are saying, what I was reading on Reddit was, what are we supposed to do as nurses? Lie about what happened? Not be honest for risk of going to jail? Man.
A nurse, she works in a profession that is
I want to see
inherently
the
dangerous.
device
Lives are on
that
the
they had
line.
to use.
I make a mistake, nobody dies. Nobody. When I was a lawyer and I made a mistake, nobody dies. I can get sued.
Damn.
Could lose the case, but nobody's dying. I don't know. This is a very unusual case. But here's the verdict.
We, the jury, find the defendant, RaDonda Vaught, guilty of gross neglect of an impaired adult. As to count 2.
You know, a lot of times when we watch these cases, we know what the verdict is before it's finalized, whether it's because we're familiar with the case beforehand and we're just watching it retroactively, or it's because we know what the evidence is and how bad it looks. But in this particular case, I think she really sat here wondering what the verdict was going to be.
We, the jury, find the defendant, RaDonda Vaught, not guilty. As to count 2, the lesser included offense, what is the jury's verdict? We, the jury, find the defendant, RaDonda Vaught, guilty of criminally negligent homicide. Thank you. You may be seated.
Criminally negligent
2 convictions. She's not a
homicide. That might
convicted felon.
be. Is that
She
manslaughter?
was a nurse. She's now a convicted felon for the accidental death of a patient, which was horrible. Let me just throw an example out there, just at the top of my head, right? Because we're going to cover a story like this, where 2 men were wrongfully convicted of murder and spent 25 years behind bars. What if it's a case where they went to death row and they were executed? Then we found out that it was a wrongful conviction. Mistakes were made by investigators. Mistakes were made by prosecutors. Should we be prosecuting them for homicide? I want to know where that line is. I want you to hear now from the nurse who was convicted today, but she spoke to WTVF's Chris Davis, our great affiliate, before the verdict came down. While the jury was deliberating, she decided to speak.
I'll say after this week has been done, yesterday afternoon, whenever I left, it was a big weight lifted off my shoulders. And when I say weight, I mean the weight of this legal process, not the weight of Miss Murphy's life being lost. I want to make that really clear because that's something that will always be with me.
Oh man, this is heavy, dude. This is so heavy. One of my best friends, like I said, she's a head nurse at a hospital, and we talk pretty regularly. And all I can think about is for the last 2 years, how she slowly climbed the ranks at her job because COVID was so intense. People were getting sick constantly, couldn't keep up, and she came in every single day and just crushed it. And I think what's really heavy for me is thinking about all the frontline workers that went through the worst in COVID, all the pressure, the everything, and then finally feeling some kind of relief as COVID has started to dissipate over the last few months, and then being hit with this situation. This is really, really scary for any healthcare worker, really. And also, another thing too, guys, you don't have to agree with every single thing that comes up on the stream, you know? Like, you and I are completely different people, and actually, I've said this before. Think about somebody that you know in real life, okay? Let's say that there are 5 different topics about, I don't know, morality or different things. And you and that person agree on 3 out of the 5 things, but you don't really agree on 2 of them. Do you hate them or do you just kind of move on? Just the same as I don't dislike you for having a different opinion on something. In fact, I applaud you for being able to come into a stream where there's a person talking to thousands of people and everyone's giving their opinion and you still have your own. But part of the reason why I do this stream is because I want to bring these issues to your front door and make you think critically. And I want you to come up with whatever your rightful opinion is.
What the jury decides is it's going to have more of an impact on the nursing community and healthcare overall than it's going to have on me personally, because I know what I have done and I know what I've taken away from her family, and I know that ultimately I know what I'm responsible for.
It's interesting how she's processing this.
It's going to have an impact on transparency in healthcare. And anytime you hold someone's life in your hands, you have an obligation to do the best you can. And if you don't, you have an obligation to tell the truth and to make it very clear to those around you that can make changes to make it better. This is what I did. Everything. I left no stone unturned. And I think that it's important, regardless of what this jury comes back. I don't want the nursing community to lose sight of that. The truth will set you free, but the impact that it's going to have on people in healthcare is going to be tragic. It's very obvious.
She's probably getting a lot of support from healthcare workers.
Actions and the assistant DAs that are prosecuting this case, all three of them, and their lies. It is very obvious they don't know about healthcare. They don't give a about nurses. I don't care what Chad Jackson says. And you know what? I have to say to the nursing community and the healthcare community, when you see those individuals walk through the doors of your facilities, because they will eventually.
We gotta watch this case, dude.
What you were taught in nursing school.
Did she lose her job? She lost her job, she lost her license, and now she's going to jail. I am curious what the victims' families have said about this, though, too.
You treat them just like you would every other patient, and you take care of them just like you would every other patient, because that is what people deserve when they walk through the doors of our healthcare facilities. They do not deserve to be berated and dragged through the mud with that ridiculous display of lies yesterday.
So it sounds like what happened to me is the prosecution tried to do anything that they could to put RaDonda away. And you guys have seen these cases before. You've seen the tactics that people use. You see the evidence they pull out. You see how they put together a whole story. I'm sure I think we should. Are you guys interested in watching this case? Or is it too polarizing for chat? Because I do know some people have a lot of conflicting opinions, and that's okay. I think that's good. As long as our community can be responsible enough to not tear each other apart. This is how you grow as a person, just by inserting 10% of someone else's idea into your own views and life story. That's how you grow.
One point that she
Why are
made
you looking like that?
I was thinking about is you all have the right to remain silent. We know about that, right? So if you now are a nurse or a doctor and something goes south, what do? Do you lawyer up? You get your union rep? What do you do?
Shit!
I mean, this has
That's
impact.
true.
I'm not saying the jury got it wrong, but we really need to flush this out tonight. Let's bring in the think tank. Joining us tonight in New York City, former senior homicide prosecutor, knows all about homicide cases, Bernardo Villolona. In Cleveland, Ohio, criminal defense attorney Ian Friedman. No one's better in Ohio.
Can they put me on this show, but just as a hype man? I think. Oh, look! I was about to say they could just put me right here in the corner, and it'd just be perfect. I'll just be right here.
This is a sad case, Benny. This is a sad case, Benny. But I think the problem is that when you are in a position where you specialize, and I mean specialize where you have extensive training to not get it wrong, and you have extensive responsibility to the point that one bad move can lead to the death of another individual, that's why the prosecution will go.
Well, that view right there is just going to make people not want to go into healthcare. Part of the reason why people went into healthcare was because it's such a celebrated job. Like, nurses and doctors are so respected. And if that's how we're going to view things, then people are going to be afraid to go into healthcare, though, too.
Forward. But even though we may feel bad for her, I'm sure that the family that is affected by her mistake, by her negligence, doesn't.
We have a nursing shortage in this country, Ian Friedman.
Yes.
That's another issue. I mean, we need them. We don't want to deter them from getting into the profession, but we want them to.
Okay, well, that's exactly what's going to happen. So just to give you guys a little more context, this is the machine. It's called a Pyxis. This is interesting, too, because I've never seen this shit before in my life. I thought that they just go in the back and get a little vial and then, pick it out and inject it. Apparently in this machine, she typed in a code for this medication, like a 3-letter code, and then not knowing that it was under another name in the system, picked the wrong medication. Vinny was right, because he said, if he loses a case, nobody dies, but if a nurse messes up something at work, this could happen. Like, oh man. Also, I can't imagine being a healthcare worker that has a lot of anxiety and then hearing about this, and then it's just like, what do you? Yeah.
What impact is something like this? Does this deter other
This
nurses
is heavy,
from
bro.
entering nursing, or does it deter them from, not paying attention at work and make them better nurses?
What it will do is deter them, just as Nurse Vaught just said, from reporting their mistakes. It's one thing if you know that there may be disciplinary issues, licensing issues, but to now stand before a jury of your peers with the prospect of going to prison, they're likely not going to want to report any sort of mistake. So I do think it could have some real chilling effect here. It's a really sad case all around. It goes to
this was RaDonda. They're saying she did make an accident. They're calling it criminal negligence. She's been charged with homicide. The other really scary thing about this too for her is that she's spent her whole life in healthcare. She spent her whole life being a nurse. And I'm not sure how old she is, maybe in her 30s or early 40s or something like that. But after she gets out of jail, she will be a convicted felon. I don't know what her career path looks like after that. And that's really scary too. Oh, okay. Honestly, I like this. Mari said, why are there no nurses in the discussion? I would love to hear from a nurse on the think tank right now. Absolutely.
Brian Watkins, you've been on both sides. Where's your line?
This was a terrible prosecution, and judges need to step up and not let cases like this go past a preliminary hearing.
Oh my God.
Judges need to step up and say, the law is this.
I like that take.
There's this thing in the law called
I like that
mens
take.
rea, okay, which is the evil intent in your mind when you commit a crime. And when you're talking about prosecuting accidents, that's absent.
Did y'all hear what he said? Did y'all hear what he said? He said that this is the judge's fault, and judges should have taken the stand, and judge should have taken a stance, and this should have never gone past the public hearing, and then it went to trial. That's what. Yeah, we was waiting for his take. Look, next time we watch one of these, we're gonna be waiting for him.
The only way you can prosecute an accident is if the person did something intentionally, recklessly, knowing that something bad could happen, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. And then it does happen, even though they weren't intending it to happen.
Look at her face. She's like, oh, okay. She had a different opinion.
Do we get that out of this? No. No one was intentionally going to commit an accident like that. To rehabilitate the defendant, is this nurse going to be rehabilitated? Does she need rehabilitation? No. And then the third thing is to punish the mens rea, or the evil mind that did something knowingly wrong. Is that present here? No. So all the three things about our criminal justice systems are absent. And then if you do and you don't send her to prison, what good do? We wasted a bunch of money. And a bunch of nurses are scared out of their mind now that, one little slip up, they could go to jail. It's not going to deter anyone from committing an accident.
Look, you know what? Sometimes I don't take a hard stance because I don't know that much. I agree with him. I'm agreeing with him.
It was just that, an accident. And there is a defense.
Represent me if I go to jail. I don't want to go though.
California. And that defense, a judge should have said, prosecution, you don't meet the burden. You have not proven, you have evidence for all these elements, and don't let this go to a jury, because juries are often swayed by the result. They see a crying family and a jury wants to do something about it, not taking into deep consideration what the law is. And so the judges here dropped the ball by letting this even go to trial. The prosecutions, of course, dropped the ball by bringing it, but the judge shouldn't have let it happen.
Great analysis by everybody.
Vinny, we want more. Hello? Dude, who was that man?
Today in evidence.
We're going to have to revisit this, because this is just, it's really, you know what? It's exactly what I always want to talk about, guys. It's about critical thinking. It's about formulating your own opinions. And that's what's really important to me. Please do not forget that when you're watching my content, you do not have to agree with me. You do not have to at all. All I want you to do is think about serious issues and have a multi-dimensional view of them. I don't want you to just read the comments and go with the flow. I want you to figure out where your morals lie and what you think.